Welcome to episode 3 of Cosmic Genesis. Today we would be discussing how our Earth was created. So, you all know that you live on this planet. आप सब इस दुनिया में रहते हैं. Then you might have wondered, how was our Earth created? It all began 4.5 billion years ago. You might remember in our previous video that we discussed how our solar system was created. So, you all know that 4.5 billion years ago, our sun created from an interstellar molecular cloud. Our sun released a lot of material when it was created. Most of the material was rocks, like asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. So, these rocks formed together to make clumps, and these clumps later became so spherical that they transformed into moon or planets. One of these clumps started to collide together with each other, जिससे क्या हुआ कि our Earth was born. Then what happened was that once these clumps joined together and our Earth was created, then of course a planet always needs an atmosphere, and Earth did get an atmosphere, but the planet was very sadly it was very inhospitable. You see that Earth had a very poisonous atmosphere when it was born. Earth's atmosphere had a lot of hydrogen sulfide, methane, and carbon dioxide. All of these gases are really harmful, and they create an effect known as global warming. Global warming, you must have heard of global warming, but if you don't, let me explain. A global warming is a phenomenon in which a planet's temperature starts to rise really rapidly, and that global warming was very evident in young Earth. Of course, alongside with a poisonous atmosphere, we also had a lot of volcanoes on the Earth's surface, and by volcanoes I mean really active volcanoes. These volcanoes spewed a lot of material into Earth's atmosphere. Mostly it was the hydrogen sulfide gas and carbon dioxide and other acids, which was really not very good for life. Of course, everything was inhospitable. Our Earth was a very poisonous planet. It's even comparable with planet Venus today. Now what happened was that a few million years after the Earth was created, there was a planetoid, and that planetoid was called Theia. Theia was a planetoid the size of Mars. Now, Theia was drifting through the solar system when Earth's gravity started to attract Theia. Theia entered into Earth's orbit and then finally crashed into the Earth. After this crash, what happened was that a lot of pieces were broken off from the Earth. Half of the Earth was shattered, and Theia was destroyed, totally destroyed. It shattered into pieces. But what happened was that gravity made sure that finally all of these clumps came back together, and it formed the moon as we know it. Some parts of Theia also came into our Earth, and what happened like that was that our Earth's diameter increased and our Earth got bigger from the remnants of Theia. Of course, the rest of them became the moon. After our moon was created, the moon started to cool down, while our Earth also started to cool down, but at a more rapid pace. Then what happened? 3.7 billion years ago, water started to appear. There was a lot of water inside the interior of our planet, and because of the heavy bombardment of asteroids that came after Theia's collision, a lot of water started to come out of the interior of the Earth, and finally it covered our whole planet. All the volcanoes and that ashy lava wasteland was suddenly submerged under the water, and our Earth became a water world with no traces of land. Now water is a very important ingredient for life, and with water's creation, the first cyanobacteria came. Bacteria or other microscopic organisms were the first organisms to ever come on our planet, and these bacteria took in carbon dioxide and transformed that carbon dioxide into oxygen, and then they started releasing all that oxygen into our planet's atmosphere, which resulted in a more hospitable, breathable atmosphere. So these bacteria are really important, and they were one of the reasons why our planet is so hospitable for life today. After that, just as these cyanobacteria came into being, the Precambrian Era started. The Precambrian era was also the biggest era of our planet to ever exist, since it lasted for a span of about 2 to 3.5 billion years, which is a lot of time. Then nothing very interesting happened after cyanobacteria came into being. It was just more of eat more carbon dioxide and release more oxygen, just like that for a lot of billion years. But then something dramatic happened 2.4 billion years ago, when what happened was that our Earth no longer remained a watery world. There came a supercontinent, a mass of land over the oceans, because the land suddenly started to rise. And then what happened was that a new supercontinent emerged. This supercontinent was called Valara. There was just one problem with Valara. You see, this is only a theory. It's not confirmed whether Valara is real or not. If it is real, then it is the first ever continent to ever exist on our planet. But poor Valara was really lonely, and it was also really tiny. It was even smaller than Australia. It was the smallest continent to ever exist. Poor Valara. So lonely. Okay, after Valara came another continent. Now this continent is a confirmed continent. It is a real continent, and this continent is called Nuna or Columbia, depending on who you ask. We are going to call it Nuna. So Nuna was, well, it was bigger than Valara, but it still was smaller than Australia. It was as big as, you can say, New Zealand. Now what happened was that after Nuna came into being, a lot of things happened, and that thing that I'm just talking about is called tectonic plate movement. In 1912, there was a German scientist called Alfred Wegener, and Alfred Wegener was a scientist who proposed a theory called tectonic plate movement. He said that continents are not like what you see today. Have you ever seen a picture of the Earth? And you might have noticed that the western coast of Africa is very similar to the eastern coast of South America. You can say that it can connect with each other, right? Like a jigsaw puzzle piece. And that is the very reason why Wegener produced this theory. Well, not only puzzle pieces like on the side of Atlantic Ocean, every continent could connect with each other. But the thing is that there were creatures on a lot of different continents that had the same fossils. They were the same creatures. Then mountain ranges that are so similar with each other. These theories led to Wegener believing that continents move around in a way called tectonic plate movement. Our Earth's surface is divided into 36 plates, you can say that, or jigsaw puzzle pieces. So these plates continuously move around. You can say 2.4 centimeters each every year. These plates move around, and when they move around, the continents and the oceanic shelves above them move with them as well in a lot of different ways. Inside the ocean, there are two things that happen that are called subduction and oceanic spreading. And also, these plates can move in three ways: transform when they slide against each other, convergent when they move towards each other, divergent when they move away from each other. A lot of these different movements, subduction and things like that, led it to the shaping of continents, and that led to these continents forming, like Valara or Nuna. So just like that, a lot of tiny islands started popping up because of these tectonic plate movements, and just like that, a lot of oceans started to disappear and started to being replaced by land. This was a huge time for our Earth. Now let's skip a billion year into the future, and then we come to an era known as the Paleozoic Era. Paleozoic is a Latin word that stands for ancient history, ancient world, ancient time. Paleo means ancient. So the Paleozoic Era is divided into some periods, and these periods tell how our Earth's paleontology evolved over time along with the geography of the world. So, in the Cambrian Era, which was the first period of the Paleozoic Era, something tremendous happened. Of course, before this, life was very boring. It was just bacteria and microorganisms all over the place. But then what happened was that these microorganisms were single-celled. And because they were single celled, what would happen if they started to merge together with each other? Multicellular life forms. And that was exactly what happened in the Cambrian era. These bacteria started to merge with each other, and then they formed more complex life forms. Most of these early multicellular life forms were very hard shelled. They had armor or spikes around them. Most of these were, you can say, they were mostly octopus and squid like animals, and all of them lived in the ocean, of course. But the most famous of them is an arthropod known as the trilobite. It looks like a giant cockroach with a armor on its back. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, I know, with those creepy legs. Alright, so this was what happened in the Cambrian era. Animals became more complex and they started to inhabit the oceans. Now, I must say that I can tell you the names and brief history of all of these eras today. So, the Paleozoic era is divided into periods. Period names are Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, and Permian. The Mesozoic, which is also called the age of the dinosaurs, the very famous dinosaurs, as we all know, they have came really late into history right now. So dinosaurs, the age of the dinosaurs is divided into three periods, sorry. So these periods are Triassic period, the Jurassic period, and the Cretaceous period. And finally, the latest one, the Cenozoic, is divided into only two periods, and these periods are known as the Tertiary period and the today's Quaternary period. Well, I must still say that why are dinosaurs called the icon of ancient history when they came so late into actual history, right? I'm totally correct. Okay, so now that I've told you every period of our eras, I must tell you the brief history of why we have these eras and what does every era has in them. Well, the Paleozoic era is all about how bacteria came as multicellular life forms and how animals started to leave the ocean and inhabit the land. And as I've explained, the Mesozoic era is mostly about dinosaurs, and the Cenozoic era is about the rise of mammals, how the mammals conquered the planet and how humans took over the planet after all. And after this comes human history, which we will talk about later. So now today I have told you all about how Earth was created. I hope you might have enjoyed this video really well. So stay tuned for more updates, and in the next video you would explain about paleontology. But right now the video has ended, and now enjoy your life on planet Earth. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.